All right, we're all set. So, hi, everybody. My name's Leslie, and my co host today is Junior Giraffe Club facilitator Shannon. Hi, Shannon.
Hello, everyone. Great to see everyone. And also, welcome to everybody joining after the fact and that you're listening to this recording.
Yes. Mary Dagg, Ann Innes Dagg's daughter, and the CEO of the foundation is here with us today, and she just came back from China. Hi,
Hmm.
Mary.
Hi, everybody. I didn't see any giraffes in China, but I was hoping to see some panda bears, but I didn't see that either. But I did see a lot of people, a lot of people in China. So, did you know that my mother, Dr. Ann Innes Dagg, wrote the first scientific book about giraffes with her colleague, Bristol Foster, back in 1976? She was driven to write in the book because she couldn't find any books about giraffes when she was a young girl in the 1930s and felt it must be done. At the time, she had no idea the impact it would have on the giraffe community. As more giraffe researchers became aware of it, it became essential reading. The book set a foundation for all future study of the natural history of giraffes. It shows us that when we're determined, we can accomplish anything.
Thanks for sharing that, Mary. I definitely agree. Whenever I have to do something challenging, I find myself channeling my inner Anne to be able to push through. And that book that Mary's holding up is the original edition, too, from the 1970s. Isn't that neat? You can tell because at one time that book was white and now the cover has yellowed.
Yes, and you can see
Yeah.
along the spine. Yeah. It's had some loving, let's say. Lots of love.
So, for those of you who were able to join us at our last get together, uh, Fred Berkovich had given us an assignment, and it was based on the guest speaker Jessica Granwheeler's presentation about giraffes and slopes. So he had asked us to get down on all fours and try to walk up a slope or stairs. And I tried it and I was going to do a recording of it, but I felt a little bit embarrassed to show that. So, because of how difficult it is. And it just goes to show you that when you're a giraffe, if there's a steep slope, it's not an easy task to be able to get up that slope. So, if any of you tried it, we'd love to know. You can just throw it in the chat. Oh, and Shannon said walking upstairs was very difficult compared to being on the floor. Yes. Back in January, it's interesting because I noticed a little note in the chat here from Lydia. She said, I did an Ann Dagg speech at school. And you know what, Lydia, I was going to mention you today because, you in January had shared your biography that you wrote about Anne and that you had chosen Anne as the subject for your school assignment, which we just thought was so wonderful. And it was so well done. We could tell all the effort that was put into it, not only with the writing and the researching, but the drawing and the coloring as well. And we're so glad that you had reached out to us about it. It reminded us too that we have resources available for school assignments such as yours, Lydia. So for those who want to write about Anne in the future, we have writing tips from Carlin Gray, the author of the children's book Anne and Her Tower of Giraffes. And you can download the tips from our newly created resources section on the Junior Giraffe Club website. So I'm going to share that with you. And I'm always super slow with this, so you are all going to have to be patient with me because I'm clicking the wrong button, of course. Okay. Here we go. So can you see that? So this is the resources page. It's new, so we just have two items that you can download. One is the tips, as I was saying, for kids writing a biography. And then the other is a poster that was created for a Women in STEM series by Ingium Canada. And it's all about Anne. So you can download that as well. And we encourage you to let your teachers know about that too, because they may want to hang it in their classroom. I was in a high school early on this year, and that poster series, they had all the different women up in the classroom on the walls. So that was neat to see. Before we introduce our special guest speaker, we're going to do a fun Kahoot and test your giraffe knowledge. Junior Giraffe Club member and volunteer Mariana was kind enough to put it together for us. So, Mariana, when you're ready, you can guide us through the Kahoot.
Okay, thank you, Leslie, and thank you for the introduction. So, hi, everyone. As Leslie said, my name is Mariana, and we're going to be playing a Kahoot all about giraffe facts. So, have you guys played Kahoot before? Some of you have, some of you haven't. Okay, so I can explain, for those that don't know, I can explain what that is. Just bear with me for 1 second. So, you're going to need another device, like a phone. And if you go to the website, kahoot.it. It'll come up in the screen in a moment and put in the code that will be on the screen. You'll be able to join and play along. Let me know if you can see that.
Yep, I put it in on this is Shannon, and I put it in my phone, and now I see a purple Kahoot, and I see your screen, and it says enter game pin. Oh.
So that's at the top.
And that is 954-2332.
Okay, perfect. I'm seeing some people join. And the little icon that you have there, the little character, you can change that around while we wait.
That's fun. I like that.
I'm not sure if there's a giraffe in there, actually. I don't know.
Oh, I'll take a peek and see.
I'm scrolling through. I'm not sure.
There's a unicorn, but I don't see a giraffe. So then, Marianne, at this point, all we'll see is our own name and that little fun icon.
That's right.
But
On
that's
your
it.
end,
Okay.
yeah. So on the device you'll be able to see the questions on my screen, so what I'm showing. And once those questions come up, the kind of like a multiple choice or true and false option will come. So I'll read out the question and you'll be able to see it. And based on the color, you'll pick the right answer. So there's going to be like a leaderboard, and it's based on the people who get the most questions right and the fastest. All right, let's do it.
All good. I'm all good. Thank you for reading. Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Okay, so the first question is, which sense is the strongest in giraffes? So you have hearing, touch, sight, or smell. So on your end, click the right color with the answer that you think is correct.
Oh, everybody's so quick.
Oh, wow, yeah, that was fast. Okay, so the right answer was sight. And yeah, most of you got it right. Okay, so Jess is on the leaderboard with Bryn second and Giraffe third.
Oh man, this is
Nice.
pressure.
Okay, the true and false one is next. It says giraffes have the biggest eyeballs of all land mammals. Do you think that's true or false? Oh, that's a tricky one, actually. Oh, it's true. Oh my gosh, that was pretty good. The majority of you guys got it. Oh, Leslie.
Oh,
All right, Leslie, you go, girl. I'm on board. Yay.
We have Leslie, Kate, and Giraffe on the leaderboard. And Leo's the highest climber. 3 places they climbed up.
Ooh, way to go,
Oh,
Leo.
neat.
Nice.
Okay, next one. What do giraffes mainly eat in the wild? We have grass, leaves from trees and bushes, fruits, or small insects. Oh my gosh, almost all of you got that correct.
Yay.
Hey.
Hey, we've been learning a lot of good stuff with this group. Nice.
Definitely. All right, there's a little movement on the leaderboard there.
All right, Kate.
Yes.
Okay, true and false. Giraffes can only eat from one type of tree. All right, let's see. It's false. All right, great job. You guys are so good at this. Okay, so we have Giraffe in first place, Giraffe Lydia second, and Leslie third.
Oh,
All right.
Okay, next question. What does the name, I'm not going to try to say that. That's the scientific name for the giraffe. What does that mean?
Kate, can you tell us how to pronounce it?
It is pronounced Giraffa camelopardalis.
Nice,
That's
thank you.
helpful.
It takes lots of practice to say it.
Yeah, I was not going to try to say that.
Oh, I think I clicked the wrong answer.
So this one is fast walking camel leopard. Isn't that interesting?
Very.
Right. Oh, the questions here, the answers were a little more spread out.
This was a tough one.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, this was a
Okay,
tough
yeah, some movement on the leaderboard there.
one.
Oh,
Whoa.
hiya.
Hiya. Hiya is taking the lead. Nice.
Nice.
All right.
And
Mary
Lydia, Giraffe
second.
Lydia is the highest answer streak. Yay.
Yeah, with 5. Great job. Okay, how long do giraffes sleep in a day? We have 8 hours, 5 to 6, 2 to 3, or 10. This one's a little tricky too.
I like your giraffe picture there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I think I just,
2 to 3 hours. Can you imagine? That's not very long.
There's
All
no
right.
way I could do that.
Yeah, no.
That's how long I take preparing to go to sleep.
Exactly. All right, next one.
Good job, everybody.
True and false. An adult giraffe in the wild can eat up to 145 pounds of food a day.
Oh, wow. Huh.
I love that picture.
Yeah, I know, they're so cute.
Great color in it.
Lydia
Lydia
said
said-
I slept for 1 hour once.
Oh my
Woo.
goodness.
That's
Oh my
hard.
goodness. That would be hard.
So that's true. That's a lot of food, a lot of leaves.
Yeah, when you think of how many leaves would it take to get 145 pounds. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Okay, so we have Haya first, Mary second with the highest answer streak of 7.
I
Nice.
better be getting these right.
No pressure, Mary. No
No
pressure.
pressure. Oh my God.
And we
Jacinta.
have Sunta third.
Nice.
All right, let's go to the next one. What special event is held on June 21st to honor giraffes? We have World Giraffe Day, Tall Animal Day, Giraffe Conservation Day, or Safari Awareness Day. Oh my gosh, that was almost everybody. Great
Yes.
job. Yep, World
Nice
Giraffe
work,
Day.
everybody.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's because that's the longest day of the year. So, and giraffes are really tall, and that's why?
It's the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Oh, a little bit of movement at the bottom. Let's see. Next one. We're almost there. How many neck vertebrae, so bones, do giraffes have? And I'll give you a hint, it's the same as humans, right?
Ooh, that's a good hint.
Ooh,
All right, so that was 7.
damn.
That's a tricky one.
Oh, there's some movement there. So High is still first.
Nice.
Ascenta moved up to second, and so did Jess to third. A lot of people moved up there. Okay, next one. We're almost done. What unique feature do giraffe tongues have? They're bright red. They're used for vocalization. They're covered in fur, or they can be up to 20 inches long. Oh my gosh, that was almost everybody. Yeah, they can be up to 20 inches long. That's really long. All right, let's see. Oh, and the leaderboard stayed the same. But Kate is back with an answer streak of 3. Okay. What are the horn-like structures on a giraffe's head called? Hint, they're not actually horns. Just they look like that.
Good point.
Mhm. Yeah, I like how you have horn-like structures. Yes.
That's right. They're called ossicones. Let's see.
It's a funny name,
Yeah.
that
It
ossicone.
is, yeah.
Isn't that a funny name?
And they are pretty awesome. So that's why I like awesome ossicones, you know?
That will help because some people say ossicone, so they'll remember
Yeah.
ossicones.
Okay, what is unique about a giraffe's coat pattern? All giraffes have the same pattern. Each giraffe has a unique pattern, like human fingerprints. Their patterns change every year, or only male giraffes have different patterns. Okay, everyone got this one right. It was
Hey,
each giraffe
Well done.
with a
Well done,
unique pattern.
everybody. Love that.
All right, let's see. Oh, Kate went up. The leaderboard just changed a little bit. And giraffe has 3 in a row.
All
nice.
right.
All right.
Wow.
Last question. What is the average lifespan of a giraffe in the wild?
Wow.
This one's a
This one's
tough
a little
one.
tricky.
Yeah.
Ooh, crap.
It was 20 to 25 years.
Mm,
That was kind of
Oh,
even with the answers
Yeah.
there. That was a hard question.
yeah.
in the
All right.
wild. Wow. Hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna change the screen and it's gonna show the leaderboard. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's go.
Drum roll.
We have Leo in third,
Yay, Leo.
Jess in second,
All
and
right,
let's see who's
Jess.
first. We have Haya
Yes.
in first place,
Hiya.
and
Well
Kate
done, everybody.
fourth, and Ascenta fifth as runner-ups.
Excellent. Well done. I'm so impressed with you guys. You've been learning so much about giraffes and remembering it all. That's great.
Exactly. Well, thank you for playing. I hope
Thank
you
you,
enjoyed
Mariana.
that.
That was wonderful.
Yep, that was very well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we're going to take just a few seconds just to take a little screen break because we've just been staring at our screens pretty intently with all those questions. So we're going to stretch like a giraffe, and then we'll be ready for our guest speaker. So let's start by stretching our 5-foot long giraffe necks. And we're going to stretch from one side. Oh my gosh, my giraffe neck is so long, it's hard to stretch it. And then we're going to stretch it to the other side. Okay, now we're going to use our huge giraffe eyes. And I like to think that my eyes are even bigger because I got my glasses on. And we're going to just look off, kind of across the room, and just stare at something across the room. And if we do that for a little bit, it just gives our eyes a change and a bit of a rest. Okay, and then we can look back. Now, I doubt that we can see as far as a real giraffe could see, but we can see pretty far. Thanks, everybody. So So Shannon, you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, thank you. On that Kahoot was so fun. I was jiggling around in my seat. And then always one of my favorite parts of the Junior Giraffe Club session is the giraffe stretch. So I stretched my eyes, I stretched my giraffe neck, and now it's time for our special guest speaker who is a giraffe researcher and a Junior Giraffe Club facilitator. So you've seen her before probably, KAITLYN Taylor. So hi again, KAITLYN, and welcome. KAITLYN is working on completing her master's degree in wildlife science at the University of the Free State in South Africa. And KAITLYN has been passionate for giraffe conservation for as long as she can remember, and it was her lifelong dream to research these wonderful animals in the wild. Whenever she had a chance to do a school project or a presentation on giraffes, she would take it. And throughout all the research and the projects, KAITLYN realized there's still a lot of mystery with giraffe and lots of things still to be discovered. Some of you may have already seen the video teaser that we posted on all of our socials and the websites that KAITLYN posted about her talk. But if not, I can tell you you're in for a treat today. Now here's a hint. Let's listen carefully to hear what KAITLYN has to share with us about giraffe today. And she'll be taking questions at the end through chat and raised hands, so please wait till the end. Go ahead, KAITLYN, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Shannon, for that amazing introduction. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and we can jump right into my talk. Just share this here. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes, that looks
great.
Perfect. So as Shannon mentioned, my name is KAITLYN Taylor. I am a giraffe researcher and a facilitator at the club. And I'm going to share with you my research that I've done for the last 2 years now on investigating whether giraffes react to human sounds. So let's just start with a family of giraffes in the savannah in Africa, and they're happy feeding on trees. And then all of a sudden, the human population is expanding. So what happens when people expand? We have to build roads. So the roads have cars on them, right? So we know that the habitat is changing, but what about the hearing habitat? So when you're out in the forest or in the grasslands, you hear birds singing, maybe bugs humming. You could hear some other animals calling, but what about people sounds? So in this picture here, we have the sound of a car, essentially. And then also with that people spreading out, we need houses and places for them to live. So with people living in giraffe area, they're going to talk to each other. So how are giraffes going to react when they hear the people talking? So what we know already about giraffes reacting to people in general is that giraffes don't necessarily like being around people. So for the proximity note, that is done research by Dr. Monica Bond, who's given a talk here before, about how when people are close to the giraffes have smaller relationships and weaker bonds between each other. And other research has shown that the home range size, so the area that the giraffes walk, are much smaller than what they would when people are around. So then that moves us to our second point of being near the presence of giraffes and people. So research has shown as well that just a person standing there looking at the giraffe can actually increase the stress level. So it scares them a little because they don't know what's going on. And then the next point with people talking. So another guest speaker we had, actually, Dr. Zanette, talked about how giraffes reacted more to people talking than lion sounds, which is crazy, right? Because lions eat giraffes in the wild, but then they were more scared of us people than lions. So then the last point is that we actually know giraffes react to drone sounds. But the thing with that one is the research flew the drone around the giraffe. So we don't know if they're reacting to the sound itself or seeing the drone. So that brings us to the research that I looked in is what about other sounds and how do giraffes react behaviorally to the sounds we make? So I had to pick my sounds that I was going to play back to the giraffe. So essentially, I carried around this large speaker and I would play back different people sounds. So I chose a drone because people use drones more often today for photography and just to see what's going on. So this picture on the far right here is actually taken by a drone. And then cars. So, like I mentioned, highways and roads, we're expanding more places. So, giraffes are encountering and seeing these cars way more often. And people talking. So, if you go out on a safari or walking in a park and there's a giraffe there, they're going to hear our voices. So, how are they going to respond if they respond to hearing our voices? Which we already know for that one, they are more scared of the voices than the lion sounds. And then my fourth sound is the dove sound. So that one is actually a natural sound just to show that the speaker isn't scaring their behavior or influencing the sounds at all because they hear these dove sounds every day in their habitat. So that's a natural sound. So first we got to go find the giraffes. So we're going to carry all of our equipment and find the giraffes. Now, sometimes we're lucky and they're standing right out in the open, feeding on a tree or drinking some water in this case. And then other times it'll take hours to find them. So the picture on the right here is actually, I spent 3 hours walking around the reserve and I passed this guy probably every time because he was right next to the road, but I couldn't see him because his head was ducked down feeding on the tree. So they are master disguisers as well. And then this is a fun little trivia I want to involve you guys in. Does anybody see the giraffe in this picture? You can either put it in the chat or just unmute.
Nope, don't see it.
So if we zoom in on the ridge up the top there, you can see the outline of the giraffes just at the top in the center of the photo.
Oh.
So they are rather tricky on finding and they're really good at hiding. So that's half the battle is just finding the giraffes that we want to play our sounds to. So once we find them, then I have to carry this really big speaker. It's, as you can see, I'm carrying it right there. So it weighs about 20 pounds. And then the tripod, so I have to walk to a tree very sneakily because we don't want the giraffe to see us. And set the speaker up behind a tree so that they can't see it. So then we have something that looks like this. So our giraffes are feeding nicely in the tree and our speaker is well hidden so they can't see it. So we know that they're not reacting to the speaker itself, but just what they can hear. So then I set up myself in line with the speaker. So I'm not standing right next to it, but at least 10 meters away from the speaker. And then I just record and watch the giraffes. So I wait at least 3 minutes before playing a sound. And then during that time, they have to feed because that shows that they're calm and they're not worried about me and they're not scared about anything that's going on. So while waiting, this is some of the most difficult times here because I have a video to show, and there is no sound with this. So just to show you. So I'm watching the giraffes, and this one here is feeding very nicely. But after 3 minutes, she has to keep feeding or else I'll have to find her again. So you can watch her here. I'm approaching the end of my 3 minutes. And then you can see the one in the back is kind of walking away, but that's okay because I still have my focal giraffe right here. So sorry, the camera was a little shaky. Now we're going to focus on this one only. So we're pretending that we're in the field. So she's picking her head up, checking what's going on. It's okay though, because she's gonna keep feeding, so we're still okay. And then, so there's 4 giraffes in the area for this one. So she's nice in the open, and then she ends up lifting her head and walking towards the rest of the giraffes. So obviously I can't see her anymore. So what do? We grab our equipment and try again. So we gotta find them all over again and then set it up all over again. So then once we have, so let's say that that observation worked and I got a good recording there. I have to get a ID of the giraffe. So I'm going to need your help again for this one. So as Mariana mentioned in the Kahoot, actually, that each giraffe has their unique spot patterns. So I had a list of all the giraffes in a book, and then I would match up the spots. So do you think that this giraffe is giraffe one or giraffe two? You can put it in the chat if you have an answer.
So some people are saying two,
Perfect.
and
This
someone
one
said
is a bit of a
one.
tricky one. Um, so it's actually number one. Um, so if we zoom in here, so you can see there's like a little heart-shaped spot on its neck there. And then if we look over here, there's the heart shape next. And then if you look, there's like a triangle and then another triangle diamond one. So they're right next to each other right there. It is tricky because that one also has some of that triangle shapes as well, but it's actually the top one. So once I identify the giraffe, then I go through all of the behaviors that I recorded. So I have a computer program and I note each behavior that happened for each second. So I had a list of over 50 behaviors that I would go through and document on what happened during the time that I played back my sound. So then once I finished with all of that and I gathered all my data, then it brought me back to my question with, do giraffes react to human sounds? So the answer that I found is yes, they actually do. So when we compared the drone sounds, the people talking, and the car sounds to the dove sounds that I recorded as well, we found that they reacted far more. They'd stop feeding, pick their head up, and look towards the speaker, towards for those people sounds. And whenever I played the dove sounds, they'd just keep feeding and didn't lift their head at all. So that is one answer to this big puzzle on how people interact with giraffes and how that changes their behaviors and everything. So it's now time for questions, but I do just want to say that one day you guys can actually research something like this too, because there's still so much unknown and one of you could contribute a piece of the puzzle. So it's really awesome to see that you all here today, and hopefully you guys can continue with giraffe research. So I'll take any questions.
Okay, well, thank you so much, KAITLYN. Wow, what a lot of work that you're doing in the field and the heavy equipment that you're carrying around. And I'm sure that it's hot as well. So just a reminder, to either raise your hand or put in the chat, and between all of us facilitators, we will hopefully get to everyone. And so, Lydia, you have your hand raised and somebody else, but Mary also had a question. So I'll read Mary's first. Why do you think they react when there are human sounds?
That's a really great question. So what I think is because they're used to hearing the natural sounds every day, so they're not too bothered by it or anything. Whereas with these new human sounds, they're not used to it. So it's kind of like if you're in a supermarket and you're grocery shopping and then the fire alarm goes off. You weren't expecting to hear the fire alarm, so it'll startle you a little bit. So it'll take your attention away from what you're doing on looking at the food item that you're potentially going to buy, and then change your direction towards the big alarm that's going off to figure out where that's coming from. So I think it's the same idea.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Thank you. Interesting.
Something unusual. Lydia has her hand raised. Please unmute and ask your question, Lydia.
Oh wait, I literally forgot it. I'll raise my hand again if I remember it.
Okay, thanks, Lydia. And Penn has their hand raised. Please unmute Penn and ask your question.
Sorry, I was just wondering biologically, like, is there a gene or a specific thing, like mentally or biologically, that would make the giraffe react to human sounds?
That's a really great question. I don't know of anything like that currently. I'm not sure if somebody is researching that or not. But that is definitely something that can be looked into for sure, because there are sometimes genes that make people specifically more sensitive to some things. So I would assume that would happen with giraffes, but I'm not too sure if that's understood just yet. But that is a really great question.
Great.
That
Thank
is a
you.
great question. Yeah, and it shows how as we research, our questions lead to more questions and more
Mhm.
questions and more is found out with our curiosity. So we'll
Exactly.
be keeping in touch. Hopefully we'll find out that answer years down the road as well. HL has a question. Please unmute HL.
Just wondering if you know like a certain spot where the giraffes meet.
That is a really good question. So sometimes you can see a pattern in their where they'll be at a certain time of day or during the week. So for my one study site, I knew in the morning they were up on the higher plains, and then in the afternoons they were on the lower plains. So that would help a little bit, but sometimes they like to be a little sneaky and change things up. So then it would be in the morning they would actually be in the area where you don't think they would be. So usually it does help to know their patterns, but then sometimes it'll lead you in the wrong direction.
And I'm sure that you were paying a very close attention because you were hauling all that equipment around.
Exactly, yes. So I would try to make sure that I knew for sure before taking everything out of the car and then packing it back up again.
Hmm. Thank you. Mariana, you have a question. Please unmute.
Thank you. Mine's kind of a two-part question, sort of. So the first one is, what are the next steps? So when you've collected all your data, and you have your results, what do you want to do with that information? And my second question is, what was a challenge you faced, but you didn't have that in mind that you would face something like that when you started?
Those are both really amazing questions. So, to answer your first one with the next steps, hopefully this will start the ball rolling for more research of this style, so that we can get even more information about it because there's so many more human sounds, like prolonged exposures would be one thing that you could investigate, or different sounds as well. So, my clips are only 2 minutes long, but what happens if they hear traffic for an hour or 2 hours? So, you could definitely look at that. But hopefully, all this information will be used for management plans so that we can help guide and create conservation plans to help the populations in the wild and even in zoos. So, if we know that they don't like people talking as much, then we can see if people can be a bit quieter in a zoo setting or around giraffes. So, hopefully, that would be the next steps there. And then your second question was a challenge that I didn't necessarily foresee. Was that correct? Yeah, that's also a great question. So with field work, there were always new challenges that would pop up that I'd never could have anticipated. For example, working in South Africa during the summers, it got up to 38 degrees sometimes while I was in the field. So my camera would overheat. Um, so then I would have to go and cool my camera down because it would just shut off. So then I started bringing out ice packs. So I would put an ice pack over my camera to keep it from overheating. So it's little things like that where I have to be adaptive quickly. But I never would have imagined that my camera would overheat. So yeah, it's really interesting on seeing how all of the problems could arise. But then there's always a solution that you can figure it out.
Mhm. Yeah, because who would have thought that it's so hot that your equipment overheats, and so you have to be prepared to be adaptable, like you said, and solve that problem so that you get the questions, so that you get the information that you're looking for. And when you talked about the next steps and how hopefully it will be for conservation planning, that reminded me how Dr. Dag was so intent on applying any information that she learned so that it would be for the betterment of the animal. So and also how Dr. Dag, one of her very important messages was remember that as humans, we're influencing the animals. And so you're researching more. How does that happen? Why does it happen? How does it influence the animals? And then as you apply all of your information, put it towards conservation, you're going to be doing fantastic things to help conserve giraffes. So thank you. Lydia has a question. Lydia, please unmute.
What if you can't what if you spend 10 hours trying to find giraffes but you can't find any?
So that's a great question because that actually did happen sometime. So I would spend the whole day walking and driving around the reserve, and I couldn't find a single one. So when that happens, I would just go home and try the next day because I would make sure that all my observations were done during the daylight. So if it got too dark, then it was too late and I couldn't see the giraffes anyway. So then I would just try the next day.
Also, a fact about giraffes. There was this giraffe video I saw. I can't remember if it was like on YouTube or a documentary, but this guy had a camera that could see in the dark, and he saw a bunch of giraffes um moving around in the night, and I think some of them was fighting.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that would be something really interesting to investigate on. What do they do when we can't see them? So, I mean, as Mariana pointed out, they only sleep for 2 to 4 hours, was it? So that's not a whole lot of time that they're asleep. So what do they do at the nighttime?
Mm-hmm. That's a great suggestion, Lydia, or a great curiosity as what's happening in the dark. But that reminds me for our members that there's the Africam website where you can look at the live African webcams and you can see animals moving in the dark. So that's a neat thing that we profiled on one of the sessions. Thank you, Lydia. And iPad also has their hand raised. iPad, please unmute and ask your question.
My question is, I'm doing a presentation about giraffes today, and one of my favorite facts about them that I learned, I'm just wondering if it's true or false. When we had the question about in the wild, giraffes live up from 20 to 25 years. In zoos, I searched that they live up to 20 to 27 years. Is that true?
Yes, I do believe it would be true. Zoos, they can usually live a little bit longer because they have access to vets and giraffe doctors, basically. So if something is hurting them or something's not right, then they can get checked out. And then they also always have the food available. So whereas the giraffes in Africa, they may not have the food or water there, but then the giraffes in zoos do. So it should be about 27 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck with your presentation.
Yeah, good luck with your presentation today. And Leslie has put in the chat the link to the Africam live streams for anybody that wants to look at that. And Rachel, which I encourage because they're really fun, the African videos. And Rachel has a question. Are there certain human-related sounds that giraffe react to more than others?
That's a really great question. From what I could see so far is that the drone sounds got the strongest reactions. So if you think about it, like I mentioned earlier with the scenario in the grocery store with the alarm. So some drones sound like an alarm. So that's kind of scary, especially if you're a giraffe and you don't know what's going on and you're just feeding and eating and living your happiest life. And then all of a sudden this weird sound comes up to you. So you don't really know what that is. Whereas some of the giraffes have heard cars and people talking already. So they are familiar with that sound, but the drone was completely new to them. So that one got the strongest reaction.
Interesting. And I wonder what other technology will be coming in the near future that will be even newer than the drones. Who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows? that persistence that's required in the field is really, you're demonstrating that immensely, KAITLYN, how whether it's the weather you're contending with or finding giraffe or carrying all the equipment around. And that's just a reminder that research in the field is different than in the laboratory. Research in the field is so much more unpredictable and it requires so much persistence. So I congratulate you on that, on sticking to it and getting the information that you were trying to find and then sharing that information to help the giraffe. And I see we're getting along in our time, so I'm just going to ask one more question. And I'm wondering, it's such a complex project that you're doing, but out of all of it, can you identify what's your favorite part?
That is a really great
question. I know that's hard.
It is. I think one of the most rewarding parts was gaining the giraffe's trust, because I spent so long with them. At the start, they would run away from me and they were very scared. But after weeks and months of spending time with them every day in the field, they realized that I wasn't a threat to them and I wasn't trying to harm them. So they would let me get very close to them. There was one group at one of my sites where there was a baby that was born during the time there. So I was lucky enough the mom trusted me a little bit so that I could see them clearly without binoculars. And got super close, not super close, of course, like still about 40 meters, 50 meters away, but historically they would have run away at 100 meters. So they trusted me, and it was really cool getting to learn all of their personalities individually, because each giraffe, just like us, we all have different personalities, so do they. So it was really cool getting to know which one was more outgoing and which one was a little bit scared of a lot of things. So it was really fun from that side of things.
Wow. Yeah. And who would have thought gaining trust is one of the most remarkable things of this whole big project, but how important that is, and how they have different personalities and how you were so respectful of them. And that reminds me of Dr. Dag when she found out very quickly that her presence can disrupt the giraffe behavior. So she sat in her car very quietly, taking notes and being very observant. That respect and gaining trust is so important. Well, thank you so much for sharing your information, your research, and good luck moving forward. Thank you so much, and I'll hand it back over to Leslie.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, KAITLYN. That was fantastic.
So I'll jump in now. It's Mary again, and our next meeting will be on Saturday, April the 26th, where our special guest speaker will be Shona Bell, lead giraffe zookeeper, and Erica Haworth, our large mammal zookeeper from the Blair Drummond Safari Park in Stirling, Scotland. Thank you again to everybody. Our speaker, Kate, phenomenal work. Love the Kahoot, Mariana. That was wonderful. The facilitators, volunteers, and of course, our members. So impressed at how well you did for the Kahoot. It shows that you guys are learning lots about giraffes. My mom would be so happy and so proud to know that. So one more thing before we go, we'll do our official Junior Giraffe Club sign-off. So if we can all unmute and say one of Anne's favorite sayings, which is long live giraffes. Okay, so I'll count us down. Ready? Don't forget to unmute. So 3, 2, 1. Long live giraffes! Woohoo!